Hi everyone, welcome to Danger and Danielle's Tactical Breakdown. We're going to look back to the two most recent games against Vancouver and also DC United. We're certainly going to take a moment to break down some goals, but first, Danger, I want to talk about just the general state of affairs and your assessment of, your reflection of where the club is right now, about 11 games into the season.
Yeah, and I'm going to use an interesting scenario, the statement that came from Coach Michael Starry about this last game against DC United, you know, in his words, being a disgrace. And I, as an ex-player, and actually somebody who's coached as well at certain levels, I applaud him for his taking it upon himself to take the responsibility for the performance. But, you know, I've spoken and we've spoken with Michael Starry. He's a very hard-working, he's a very honest, he's a football guy, you know, he loves the game and he lives it that way, right? And I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to deflect away from the performance of the team and saying, hey, it's my bad. I think he actually said it's my bad, right? But I think also the players, to a man, from the front to the back, had to take responsibility for this last game. As a coach, the team's performed well in Minnesota, okay in Vancouver, the same lineup, the same formation. I'm sure he's gone around the group and said, hey, you know, everybody feeling okay? Shea had a little bit of a knock, okay, you rest. But they've gone and said, no, we're ready to go. And they've done okay. If Starry would have made 5 or 6 changes, rotated, and the performance like that came, then the fans would have gone, what are you changing the lineup for? Mm-hmm. So he's gone with the same lineup. He's put faith in that lineup, and they've let him down.
Yeah, and for me too, the thing is, you've talked about, you know, having to take some ownership as a player. I know, and I look back to the way I felt when I was a player, you feel it. Like, these players, believe me, like, they feel this pressure, they feel this ownership and this pride, and they need to do better. And for me, it's really about a collective effort at this point. It's about getting together. You're not going to change the entire season with the next game. You're just going to slowly try to get a little bit better each day, try to fix the issues that they're having, try to build upon the positives and the momentums that are there, because some do exist. And you just got to take it one game at a time, one moment at a time, one tackle at a time, one play at a time, and that's how you find your way back up the table slowly but surely.
Now, we'll talk about the goals especially, and we'll see individual mistakes, and that's what's hurting the team right now. But after saying that, goals mostly get started from good play from the back, good teams build out, good clearance from the goalkeeper, whatever it may be, to generate that offense. And good defense has to start from the front as well. Right. And it hasn't happened at times.
Nope, not yet. So let's take a look back to Vancouver. Let's take a look at the 2 exciting goals that the Quakes scored, starting with Danny Houston's goal right at the end of the first half up north.
Yeah, and it came at a good time for the club. And I think that Danny Houston is one bright spot in the recent performances. And he's very good at just working that last line of defenders. And he plays, we always talk about playing off the shoulders. And he really does play off the shoulder of the defender. He's looking to go along the line. He's looking to step back on sides from an offside position on the timing of the pass. And that's what he does extremely well in this goal. Flo Youngworth has too much time on the ball. Now, we'll talk about that later as well. But there's too much time on the ball. And experienced defenders in Kendall Waston and Aha, they, as we talk about, they need to see no pressure on the ball. We're going to step back. They don't do it. Danny knows that. Danny makes a little run. He gets into an onside position as the ball is kicked. Great finish. It's a goal that caught everybody surprised, especially the people in Vancouver. But that's what he brings to the team. And the great thing about Danny Houston is when he does get those opportunities, he typically puts them away.
Yeah, and the second goal scored by Nick Lima was a real bright spot. One of the things I like about Nick Lima, I think he's been one of the most consistent players, especially along the back line for the Quakes this year. But his ability to continue to attack. We've talked about the fact that Nick Lima, when he was younger, played in an attacking position. He certainly can strike the ball. It was an absolute wonder strike, but I love to see how he can continue to get involved in the attack, regardless of whether the Quakes are playing in a 4-back or a 3-back, where he finds himself more in that wing-back position. So credit goes to Nick Lima for scoring a fantastic goal there. So looking back to this weekend against DC United, let's break down the goals a little bit further. Let's start with the first goal by Stieber. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we just talked about Danny Houston's goal in Vancouver and the lack of pressure that was on Flo Youngworth. It's deja vu all over again. It's too much time on the ball for Acosta. He's had the time to look up, look down. Well, as a forward, and I think it was Magnus who was maybe closest, whoever it was, you've got to get there and put pressure on that ball. And as soon as Acosta looks down to hit the ball, you've got to be there to try and block that, put more pressure on that. It just allows Stieber too much time to run away from Wehan, find himself in a pocket behind Flo Youngworth. I'm interested to know what communication there was between those two players as well, because that's important. But it's a good run, a well-timed run, too much time on and no pressure on the ball. And that's the problem.
Yeah, and to me, that's solvable, right? Like, we're breaking it down tactically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just a little bit better that needs to happen there. On the second goal that Darren Maddox scored, as well as the third goal scored by Assad, for me, it was really just turnovers in midfield, unforced errors in midfield. And if I have to be a little bit critical, that midfield space was the weakest link for me in the game on Saturday, and an area that certainly needs some growth and improvement.
Yeah, and I think both goals highlighted a couple of areas that were just woefully short on the night, and awareness on the ball. Certainly speed of play, and when I mean speed of play was the ability to get the ball in and out your feet quick, play 1 and 2 touch, but also get the ball wide quickly. With 5 across the midfield for DC United, that ball that was going from here all the way out to Lima, it was just taking too long, and it was the wrong type of service. That type of speed of play needs to just it's got to get better, and it's got to be a critical part of how the Quakes want to go and playing forward. And little things, but they're very important things. Players not stepping to the ball when the ball's passed to them. It happened on the goal with the pass from Vaco, but at the same time, it's one of those things. Once again, maybe there's some tired legs out there from the 3 games in 8 days. We can put some of it down to that, but it certainly needs to improve.
Yeah, well, one of the good things, at least, is the Quakes did score a goal. Danny Houston coming up big. You've talked about him being a real bright spot. What's your analysis of that goal?
Yeah, I mean, he's always looking for the ball alongside defenders. And, the run he made earlier for the ball from Magnus Eriksson was a great slided pass that went in there. And he nearly scored on that one. And you could see all night long that he was the one player, until Chris Wondolowski came on, that looked like he wanted to try and score a goal, and he was looking like he was on his game. On the particular goal that he scored, nice little pass came inside from Chris Wehan, but he stayed with the play. Yes, O'Neill Fisher got there to block it, but he was aware of where the ball was. He was calm, and he slotted it into the empty net. And over the last 3 or 4 games, Danny Houston is starting to play again like the player we saw in the first game of the season against Minnesota United.
So let's take a look forward to the big game on Friday against LA, down in LA against the Galaxy, and some players we expect to step up and really have a big game.
Well, the first one has to be Danny Houston, right? I mean, LA is a team that's got some issues defensively, some injuries. I think the team is catching the Galaxy at a good time. So I think Danny Houston needs to continue his form. I would like to see Wondolowski get more playing time. I think that when he comes on, he changes the game. And I think he's got a desire and an ability to find goals that other team players aren't finding at the moment. So be interested to see how Starry uses him maybe.
So exciting game to look forward to. Thanks for joining us with Danger and Danielle's Tactical Breakdown.